4B movement is going to force men to be red pill. It doesn't matter if you're single, married, in a relationship. You're going to be forced to be a red pill brother, man. And if you're already a red pill man right now, this 4B movement is a victory for us, because everything that we've said, every boundary that we set, that's what we meant. And this is why they have to do what they have to do. You understand what I'm saying? Because we told them we don't want no old single mothers. We don't want women with high body counts. And so with that being said, like, they have to do this, guys. You have to understand this is a victory for men. Because listen, we know that the majority of the women who are talking all this about the 4B movement, they've hit the wall. They're over 30. They had children before they got married. They've never been married, but they got children. And they got a high body count, bro. You know what I'm saying? So they're doing us a favor.
That men are about to learn rule number 1 of capitalism. In order to negotiate, you have to bring value. And in order to strike, you have to be able to take something away from the person that you're trying to strike against. That is the meaning of a strike. It means withholding something until you get your needs or conditions met. That's a strike, okay? So I just have one question for all of y'all. What is that thing? Go ahead. What is that thing? What are you going to withhold from women in any meaningful way that is going to force us to meet your conditions and demands? What will it be? Go ahead. What will it be? What will you withhold from us? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about what it is you can meaningfully withhold from women in order for your movement to be effective? Because I guarantee you, in less than a month's time, tops, I promise you, everybody's going to forget about this. Do you know why? Because there's nothing at stake. There is nothing at stake. And let me explain something else to you. Without the forceful withholding of women's human rights away from them, there's nothing in our society that is dependent on men marrying women. But there is a lot at stake for women marrying men. You know how you know that? It's because the government is getting involved. Because our rights are getting removed from us again. Because a lot of things in our society rest on the laurels of women's unpaid labor. Do you understand that? Women have been going on strike and withholding that labor. And that labor is so valuable that not only are men getting their panties in a bunch about it, but the government is getting involved. And they're reversing our rights to our own bodies and to our own freedom and our own safety. And that's how you know our shit's working. You know what the government's gonna do when there's too many single men? They're gonna start a war or something and send y'all to die. That's what they're gonna do. Don't be crazy. Y'all need to get your shit together and try to survive. Because I'm telling you, it's not gonna work like it did for the women. It's simply not. Let's really think about it. Let's unpack this, even. I'll lay it all out for you. You bring nothing to the table by default. Nothing. When you start to talk about, we're gonna not date women, so what? Women don't want to date most of y'all anyway, and you talk about, it's the men who have figured this out. It's y'all's whole, 80-20 theory, where, 80% of women only want to date the top 20% of men. Yeah. You understand why that is, right? It's because men aren't shit. Like 80% of men bring nothing to the table, to the point where women only want to date the top 20% of guys, because that's the only tangible value that y'all bring to somebody's life, is being either really good looking or making a lot of money. Those are your only tangible values. So you are already not as valuable as women, because only a small percentage of you actually represent something that women want, okay? Something that women actually want. So for you to remove yourself from the dating marketplace means nothing, because you've already been sitting on the shelves. Do you understand that? You've been sitting on the shelves and nobody wants to pick you up. Rule number 1 of capitalism is supply and demand. There's simply not enough demand for y'all to be going on a strike. Like, it just simply isn't. There's not. What y'all did was overestimate your hand. Like, you overplayed your hand. You overvalued your stock value. You overvalued yourselves. People only care about y'all being single insofar as it's gonna threaten other people's lives. Do you understand that? You bring negative value to society. Like, oh my God, like I hate to break this to you, but you literally bring negative, you take away from society. Y'all like murder people. So weird how giving people easy access ramps in the form of unpaid human labor, and this applies to white people as well. Amazing how that will just take away your ability to think critically about your own value, because your rights haven't been constantly taken away and you haven't been abused by every system that you are forced to fucking exist in, that you stop questioning, like, what value do I actually bring to the table? The systems that allow you to exist so freely without thinking about anything at all have ruined your ability to think critically about things. So you perceive your own value to be so high while not realizing that your value is artificial. It's been given to you, and other people are not treated the same as you. And in the same way that white people love to brag about culture that doesn't belong to them, that they didn't create, that they have simply just been benefiting from, not only culture, but also actual physical value and labor and everything like that, white people take credit for it in the way that's like, oh, well, we built all this. And it's like, no, you didn't. You took credit for it, right? And it's in the same way that men take credit for women's invisible labor. And if you really want to talk about providing, the title actually should not be provider. It should be bringer. That's all that y'all do. You've only ever brought money to the table, which a woman is forced to sit because it's her only way to get money. And you know what? Now that women don't have to do the table thing, they can just go to the same place that you go and get their own money. They don't want to come to the table with you to even negotiate. So y'all are sitting over here yapping about your movement, and women are over here getting money, living by themselves, and they don't want your money. And men will be like, my kids, my house. Who made those children? Whom did they pop out of? For you to call them yours. That's insane. As far as the house, men will literally live in like the equivalent of a prison cell until a woman comes along and provides everything that's needed to make that house a home. And again, up until very recently, the only damn reason a woman would even need a man to provide the home first is because she didn't have access to money or to buying her own home. So in order to have a home as a woman, you had to get married and wait for a man to buy you a house to live in. And guess what? Women are now buying more houses than men, so they can provide their own house. I think the biggest thing I want you to take away from this, if you're a man, is that the only time you have ever brought something to a woman's table is by taking it away first from her, by withholding her access to necessities and things that she would need to survive. So what are you going to withhold? The only thing that men typically bring to the table are their needs and wants. What women can bring to a man's table, those things are priceless. That's why y'all literally had to trap us before, and you have to trap us still, because you refuse to value the actual worth of our labor and contributions, whereas that same thing is not happening to you because you don't contribute anything. You come and you take, you receive. It's actually the women who give. Do you know what I mean? To give something means to know how to do it. At best, most men bring. You have the usefulness of a retriever. You bring stuff. Again, that only used to be valuable because you used to not allow women to step out and bring the stuff for themselves. And now that women can, they don't need you to fetch anymore. It's like when a dog doesn't understand that you've already stopped throwing the ball and it just keeps, going and looking for the ball. Like, there's nothing. We don't need you for anything. Officially, don't need you for anything. So what can you withhold? I'm asking you. My brothers, please think. Please think before you start these stupid ass movements. You look like fools. You look like clowns. It's embarrassing. It's painful to watch. It's cringy. Like, everything that y'all are doing, do you ever wonder why it centers around setting women back 50 years? Like, this whole movement that you're not going to date any non-traditional women. Like, why do y'all want women back into that position? Because you're weak and you have to force women down. And I'm telling you, when there's too many of you, when there's too many single men, the government's going to do something about it. Because they're not going to have y'all up all the schools, okay? They're not going to have y'all doing that for much longer. They're going to figure out a war to send y'all off to. I promise you that. So be careful. Bargaining with stuff that you don't have. What's on the table? What's at stake? Bonus points if it's not violence against women. Bonus points, because that's you're going backwards. You're so weak, you have to subjugate women by hurting them. And please think about why. I just feel like you guys really overestimated y'all's usefulness on this. Frankly, until you can withhold something very specifically that would detract from women's lives, then the strike has no legs. Because please answer me, on a large scale, what do most men bring to most women other than things that are negative and put their lives in danger? Even if a well-meaning man gets you pregnant, he's put your life in danger. So you're not bringing that to the table. Even if a well-meaning man has told you to quit your job and stay home, and then 15 years into that, he gets hit by a bus, something happens to him, what has he brought to the table? And who's going to care when that woman goes out there and tries to find a job with 0 out of 15 years of experience? Things that y'all provide hold women back and endanger their lives. Frankly, women can still have those things without you. Like, women can still be a full-time mother and a full-time homemaker without y'all. They just do it after work. And a lot of women do that while they're married too. So technically full-time is 40 hours a week, right? Yeah. She can still be a full-time homemaker and mother even without a man. Can you believe that? She would just have to have a job. What else? Do y'all on a large scale bring compassion, empathy, emotional intelligence to the table? No. Women typically get that from their friends and family. So what are you taking away? What are you taking away? Women don't depend on you for those things anyway. But you know what you do? You depend on women for safe emotional spaces. You depend on women for children. You depend on women for support. You depend on women to put their lives on the back burner in a system where they will be forced to exist if something happens to you. Women bring a lot of sacrifice to the table that men, I'm afraid that men are about to learn rule number 1 of capitalism.
If you're a wife number 2 or 3 or whatever of a man who has children and you never see money moving out of his account for school clothes or sports fees, insurance, money on their lunch account on Mondays, or freaking anything. If he goes 6 to 8 weeks in between his little piddly child support payments, and he never goes above and beyond that child support to make sure that his kids are taken care of, if he's not looking forward to their futures and sitting down with a financial planner and doing college funds, making sure that they have health insurance, if he's not saving up to help them pay for car insurance, teaching them how to drive, but instead he's spending his money buying himself a new Harley, going on, I don't know, ski trips to Utah, a drawer full of fancy watches. Not only are you in the unfortunate position of being married to somebody who's not even a fully raised man, but a boy, and a deadbeat boy at that, but you're also a gold digger. And you're digging that gold from children. And yes, Kelly, this video is for you. Because while I sit here in the crackling Arizona heat trying to flip a couple furniture projects so that I can help my single mom daughter buy groceries, and take my stepkids shopping so that they can have some shorts and tank tops for summertime, you have a new car and are planning, what is it, the guest bathroom remodel this summer? And I don't believe in hell, but I wish I did, because there's a few people that I think deserve it. But literally, ladies, if you are married to this guy, if you see like the child support going 6 to 8 weeks without being paid, and you do not ever see them reaching out to make sure that their children have the financial stability that they need under their lives, then you are part of the problem.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but you may need to hear this. You cannot continuously lie to someone, manipulate someone, play games with someone, pick and choose when you want to be a part of their life, and continuously put them on the back burner and still expect them to crave you. Eventually, they are going to get tired. Eventually, that same exact love that is holding them there, tolerating the bare minimum, will fade. You can't even be mad at it. Because when you had them, you didn't want them. When you had them, you didn't appreciate them. When you had them, you didn't love them. When you had them, you didn't choose them. You gotta understand something. Even the strongest feelings expire when they are taken for granted. So if you have someone good in your life, hold on to it. Because I promise you, once they're gone, they ain't coming back.